tardes, this is Kai Pacha with the Weekly Paleo Report. It is Astrology for the Soul, and this one is for October 7th of 2014. We have a total lunar eclipse tomorrow, which is probably, when this will get up on YouTube, on the 8th. It is at 15 degrees, 5 minutes of Aries. That is at the moon. It's a full moon. I mean, you can go out. I'm sure you even noticed it last night. Tonight you're going to have this full moon. Large luna. Yeah? And this full moon is happening right on the moon's nodes. And the moon's nodes, the north and the south node of the moon, is where the path of the moon crosses the ecliptic, or the apparent path of the sun. So when we have a full moon on the lunar nodes, that gives us a lunar eclipse. This one is a total eclipse. 2 weeks later, the moon is going to come around and we're going to have a solar eclipse. But the sun will have moved so far away from the moon's nodes, it will not be, it's only going to be a partial solar eclipse. Yeah? So we're in the eclipse season. I've been talking about it a little bit. In the community, I did a whole, two-part video section on these eclipses. But today I just want to give you a little shot for the week. Because this is, besides like being an eclipse, which is really big, it's like a super full moon. And the moon, lunar, lunacy, the dark, the inner, the feeling, the inner child. It's been, statistics show that there are more crimes of passion and more crazy events, and they've looked at mental institutions and everything, and on the full moon itself, okay, it's like the temperature rises and people become more erratic, more driven by their feelings and chaotic emotions than by their logical, rational, mental self. So it's a very feeling time. It's a very unpredictable time. It's a time of change and shifting where we can kind of feel a pull, a kind of a tension between our solar and our lunar self, our light side and our dark side, our Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, or Dr. Jekyll and Mrs. Hyde, depending, yeah? The feelings in the head, the clarity, and the instinct. Yeah, so this full moon, and then you make it an eclipse, and it amplifies it like times 10. And then, if that wasn't enough, we have Uranus, which goes around every 85 years. It happens to be conjunct the south node of the moon. So the moon is going to not only be a full moon, total eclipse, it's going to be conjunct the planet Uranus, square Pluto, and if that wasn't enough, Venus is conjunct the sun over here in Libra, coming through, and it is squaring Pluto, opposite Uranus, opposite the moon, conjunct the sun. We've got this big T-square going on with moon, Uranus, south node, sun, Venus, north node, square Pluto up there in Capricorn. So what does that all mean? Woo! A lot, yeah? The south node has to do with our past. In karmic astrology and new paradigm astrology, we look to the south node of the moon to be the known, familiar, easy past that we are comfortable with, that maybe we've been doing for lifetimes. So it is our habitual or natural, instinctive, automatic way of responding, with the moon there in particular. But now Uranus. Uranus is the planet of rebellion, revolution, individuation. If we look at the god Uranus, he was the sky god, and he laid upon Gaia, yes, and made many, many offspring. But he did not, he feared his offspring, and so he locked them up inside of the earth, basically inside of Gaia. And it made Gaia very uncomfortable. until she one day said, "Psst, psst, 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 psst. Hey kids, let's overthrow your dad." And sure enough, the youngest one, Kronos, now known as Saturn, Father Time, yeah? Basically, they were the Tartans and the Cyclops. There were a number of offspring of Uranus, now called Uranus. They went to the four corners of the earth, the four directions. And when he was the sky and he lifted up, they grabbed him by his hands and his feet, almost like Nut, the Egyptian goddess of the sky. You can see pictures of her. Uranus, yes, was the Greek version of this same creation myth. And Kronos castrated his father, Uranus, yeah? And they say that then his testicles fell, and out of that, yes, so many creatures, the Furies were one, the three Furies were born, yes, out of that. But also Aphrodite. Aphrodite was born when his testicles hit the ocean, yeah, and his semen mixed with the waters of Gaia. So this is the story of Uranus. He was a fierce, straightforward, direct, powerful god that could be considered extreme, rigid, yeah, bullheaded, just like, this is it. And it was really something, because after he was castrated, he did not lay on Gaia anymore. And that was then the separation of earth and sky, which allowed for an atmosphere. It allowed for human consciousness, human awareness, yeah? So that was the separation of the sky god from the earth. So Uranus was this very powerful god, but, yes, very extreme, rigid, fearful. And when this moon comes around to Uranus, we may find ourselves in places of great fear and trepidation and not knowing why. I'm just afraid, I'm nervous. It's like, I'm starting to shake. I got butterflies in my stomach. The moon having to do with the stomach, Uranus having to do with the nervous system. And this full moon is like really bringing up for us, everybody, okay? Kind of, I feel different, I feel weird, I feel unusual. And the other aspect of Uranus, of course, then is rebellion, revolution, non-conforming. It's the Prometheus aspect of that planet Uranus. So this is also a time with the sun opposite Uranus, Venus opposite Uranus, the moon conjunct Uranus. This is a time where you may be tempted to just like break out, break free, let loose, yeah? Let it rip. Rip somebody a new one in some way, shape, and form. I mean, I'm saying it's a time where it would be good to, like I said last week, stay low in the boat, remain chill, and don't do anything too rash, too sudden, too extreme, and be prepared at the same time for the outside world and relationships and other people and cars and technology and appointment books and schedules to just go boing, 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 yeah, like a Swiss watch that got busted open and the springs go flying. Because this Uranus is also, like I said, the planet of individuation, and we walk a fine line. If we do not individuate enough, speak our own truth, find our own individual nature, yeah, get in touch with what is unique about ourselves, then we get kicked around, bumped around, fired, pushed off, car accidents, whatever, end up here, there, everywhere. As long as you're trying too hard to conform and fit in, and you are not manifesting your unique gifts, life will come along Yeah, like the Tower card in the Tarot, Uranus is lightning and strike your perfectly formed life, your perfectly formed tower. Yeah, with the 2 cards, the nice house, the nice job, the nice kids, the nice spouse, whatever you got going. Yeah. In order to open you up to your creative genius. Yeah, Prometheus rule, it has to do with the 3rd eye. I associate Uranus and Aquarius with the 6th chakra. Other side, flip side, I'm so different, I'm so unusual, I never want to look like anybody else, walk like anybody else, talk like anybody else. I like to blow people's minds, you know, I like to say things that are kinky and queer and weird and, you know, flip people out and shock people. I like the shock effect, and you're always like, you're being like a walking, talking Uranus, yeah? Well, then, that's the opposite side of that, right? And life, like Chronos, time will come and cut your balls off. Oh, you think you're so powerful, you think you're so awesome, chop, yeah, take that, yeah? So like if you get too full of yourself, and you're so special and so unique and so outrageous, and I'm like an ET from another dimension, and you peons are all stupid and small and ignorant. If you get too much in that realm, life will also teach you a lesson, okay, of humility, and a lesson that you are human, and that you can be hurt, and you do have feelings, as much as you may think you're some kind of supercomputer. Yeah? So we are walking this fine line. And the main thing about this fine line now is awareness. Conscious awareness. We are becoming conscious. And we become conscious of how we conform too much and be a brown-nosed kiss-ass, what everybody else wants us to be, and or how we are rigid and in our own rebellious, rebel without a cause, you know, kind of a thing, where we can learn to cooperate and compromise and unite with other people. So we're walking this knife edge, yeah, this weekend. Right now, you know, it's later on. The moon moves out of Aries into Taurus and then into Gemini. But the, you know, Venus comes up and it you know, it opposes, I think it squares Pluto in a couple days, and then it opposes Uranus you know, this weekend. So this is going on, you know, the sun is opposite Uranus, you know, coming up to conjoin with the North Node this weekend. And the North Node is the future. If you're going to err, if you're going to make a mistake, if you're going to sin, yeah, error being sin, if you're going to make mistakes, make them in the way of Libra. Because that's where the Sun Venus is, that's where the North Node is, that's where our future, unfamiliar, evolutionary path is right now. And that Libra, it's about beauty. It's about harmony. It's about peace. It's about balance. So it's funny to have Uranus moon on that South Node kind of kicking our asses out of being the extreme warrior, fiery, Aries, dynamic, and it's really, you know, as much as you can these days, yeah, give in, yeah, be the mediator, bring peace, bring harmony, bring balance, and express yourself in the meantime, in so doing, yeah, which brings me to the mantra for today. Gotta get this one on the fly here. As I discover how different I am from all the other women and men, I must not hide. I need to come out and give permission for all of us to run, jump, and shout. We're moving into the age of Aquarius. Aquarius is ruled by Uranus. We've been in a patriarchy, which has been ruled by Saturn, conforming, established laws, man-made laws, rules, religions, military and political. As a human consciousness, we are diversifying. So as much as is possible during this time, I encourage you, to peacefully and with a smile and with joy and with happiness, you don't have to throw Molotov cocktails, and blow up people's realities. But you can, like the mime or like the Joker, with a good sense of humor and goodwill in your heart, give everybody permission to just be a little different, a little out there. It's funny, there's this big Giants game. I'm in Northern California now, and there's this big football game, and we were talking about it, and it's like these sports, the big popularity about sports is that it gives public permission, for guys to hug each other and to express feelings, and for everybody to jump and shout and scream, and it's almost like, here's a little stadium, a big stadium, wherever you were, okay, everybody get in there and be your instinctive Aries warrior self, let it all out so that you can go back to work and be a sheep. And do what you're told, and da-da-da-da. I mean, it's funny, man. It's like sports are this big social outlet for the consensus stage of evolution. Yeah. But I encourage you to do, to outside the stadium, run, jump, and shout anyway, and not conform to that consensus reality of the sports arena, yeah? So if I can remember it, I'll type it below the Pele report once I get it down. But as I discover just how different I am from all the other women and men, I need, instead of hiding, I need to come out and give everyone permission to run, jump, and shout. Ow! Namaste.